it's Sarah, and today is all about my June TBR. So June is going to be a really busy month for me. Not only am I traveling, I am also going to be participating in 3 readathons. What else is new with me? So I am participating in the Emojiathon, the Bibliogames, as well as the Withchathonlitha edition. I am really excited for all 3 of these because they are some of my favorite readathons that I've been able to participate in the past. So I'm going to show you what I plan to read for all 3 of them. I'm combining all of these readathons into one video. It's going to be long. I'm sorry, but I want to get all of the information out there just so that way, you know, I don't want to do 3 separate videos because I'm talking about the same books. So, you know, bear in mind that's what's going on in my thought process for that. I'm going to have some timestamps down below which will signify where the different readathons are at. So the first segment that we're going to talk about is the readathons themselves, and then we're going to get into the TBRs. I'm hoping to kind of like do it quickly, but you know, I ramble, so let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what I plan to read for each of these readathons. Whew! So the first readathon that I'm going to talk about is the Emojiathon. So the Emojiathon is a month-long readathon. It goes from June 1st to June 30th, obviously. So this readathon is hosted by Dylan over at dylanisreviewing, by Jay over at the Awkward Bookworm, and Brittany over at booknookbritt. And I apologize because that one was really hard. I'm the worst at pronouncing stuff, so you know. So I am really excited about this one. It has 51 challenges, and yeah, I know, it's a lot, but the good thing about this one is you can double up, triple up, quadruple up as much as possible to get all of these emojis read, and I am so excited about it. So the order that I'm going to talk about these books is kind of a strange order. So I'm first going to talk about books that cover multiple challenges, and then I'm going to talk about books that are multiple authors and series that I need to complete or reread, and then I'm going to talk about books that I'm reading only the one book in the series, if it is a series, or standalones, or not covering, are just singular challenges. Not covering any other challenges, just the one. So it's gonna be a lot, but we'll see how this goes. So let's get started. The first book covers 3 challenges. So that is to read a book with your favorite color on the cover, read a scary book, and to read a book that everyone has been telling you to read. And that one I'm going with The Diviners by Litha Bray. The next book covers 3 challenges as well, and that is to read a book that you said you were going to read but you never did, to read a fantasy book, and to read a book that has an animal on the cover or that features an animal in some sort of way. And I'm going with Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. The next book covers 3 challenges, and this one goes with read a book that is set somewhere other than where you live, read a book that doesn't have any hype, and to read a book that has religious diversity. And I'm going with A Girl Like That by Tanaz Bethina. So this next book covers 2 challenges, and that is to read a book that reminds you of one of your favorite songs, as well as to read a book that is going to make you laugh until you cry. And that one I am going with The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. So the next book covers 4 challenges. What? So this one is going to cover read a book that is set outside, read a book that is a road trip book or a book that features travel, to read a book that you have started but haven't finished yet, and to read a book that features music. And that one I'm going with Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. The next book covers 2 challenges, and the first one is to read a book that is set in college, and the other one is to read a book that you bought because of the cover. And this one I am going with Again But Better by Christine Riccio. The next book covers 2 challenges, and the first one is to read a book that is about a social justice topic, and the other one is to read a book that is about a marginalized group. And this one I am going with Pride by Aviza Voy. The next book covers 3 challenges, and this one goes with reading a book that you are cautious about, so it is out of your comfort zone, reading a book that is a nonfiction, and reading a book that is an ebook. And this one I'm going with The Radium Girls, The Dark Story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore. Alright, so now we are getting into the series books that I'm going to be reading, whether it is the series that I'm going to be completing as a whole, or just reading the ones that I need to read, rereading some of them, what have you. This is all of the series that I plan to be reading this June. So the first series that I'm going to be talking about is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. So the first one is Stalking Jack the Ripper, and this covers the challenge to read a mystery/thriller book. And then that brings us to book 2, which is Hunting Prince Dracula, and this one is going to cover the freebie/read whatever you want challenge. And the third book, Escaping from Houdini. So this one will take care of the read a book that takes place on a boat, and also read a book that you don't know why you haven't read it yet. The next series that I'm going to be reading is the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han. So we have obviously the first one, which is To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and this one covers the challenge of reading a book that has been adapted. The next one, P.S. I Still Love You, is going to cover the challenge of read a book that just makes you happy. That brings us to our third one, which is Always and Forever Laura Jean. So this one covers the read an audiobook. The next series that I'm going to be reading, well, kind of. So this one I'm actually only reading 3 of the 7 books, but I am really excited to read those ones. The first one is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling, and this is the illustrated version with illustrations by Jim Kay. This is for the challenge of read a book that is a 5-star prediction. The next one is Goblet of Fire. So this one is going to cover the read a book that is like candy, so it is a guilty pleasure. This one is my favorite Harry Potter book of the series. And that brings us to Order of the Phoenix. And this one will cover the challenge of reading a book you've been anticipating. So the next series that I am going to be talking about is the Shades of Magic series by B.E. Schwab. And so I'm actually only going to be reading the last 2 books because I just listened to, I should say, A Darker Shade of Magic earlier, I think towards the end of March. And so that brings us to A Gathering of Shadows. And this one takes care of the challenge of read a book that you are annoyed with yourself because you haven't read it yet. And like I said, I'm going to be reading the other one as well, which is A Conjuring of Light. And this one takes care of the challenge to read an expensive book. And finally, the last series that I'm going to be talking about is the Selection series by Kiara Cass. So this one I am going to be reading The One by Kiara Cass, and this one is the 3rd book in the original trilogy. So it's the last book in the original trilogy, and this one covers the challenge of read a book that you've had forever, and if you don't like it / you don't read it, then unhaul it. Peace out with it. And that brings us to After the One by Kiara Cass. So this one covers the challenge to read a book that is under 100 pages. It's literally 11 pages. That's it. Alright, so now that has brought us into the part where we talk about books that aren't covering multiple challenges. So the first one that I am going to talk about, or I should say the first two, aren't a part of a series, but they are written by the same author. And so the first one is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And this one is to read a book that is older than you. And the other one is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And this one is to read a book that was gifted to you. And now we're getting into our books that do not have multiple challenges and aren't part of any series and aren't written by any of the same authors. So, woohoo! Let's get into it! So the first one is to read a book that you have been seeing everywhere, and I'm going with Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. The next one is to read a book that is a diverse book, and this one I'm going with Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno or Leno. I say stuff wrong all the time. Sorry about the angle change. I had to change out my battery. So anyway, let's get back into it. The next book that I'm going to be reading is for read a book that is set in winter. And I'm going with Lilac in Winter by Susan Pogorzelewski. I know I'm saying that completely wrong. The next one is to read a book that you can read in under 24 hours. And I am going with X-Men Gold Volume 1 Back to Basics by Mark Guggenheim with illustrations by R.B. Silva, Ardian Saif, and Ken Lashley. The next challenge is to read a book that deals with mental illness, and this one I am going with Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. The next challenge is to read a book that involves sports, and this one I am going with Catching Jordan by Miranda Kennelly? I don't know. The next challenge is to buddy read a book, and this one I am going with Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. The next challenge is to read a book that is an unknown book, unknown author, an indie book, and I'm going with Say What You Will by Cami McGovern. The next challenge is to read a sci-fi, and I am going with Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. The next challenge is to read a smutty, new adult type book, something that's not appropriate for under 18. This one I'm going with The Bride Test by Helen Huang. The next challenge is to read a romance/contemporary. This one I am going with Don't Bet on Love by Victorian E. Leesky. I, again, butcher names, so you know. The next challenge is to read a book that deals with a current event, and this one I am going with Speak, the graphic novel by Laurie House Anderson, and then the artwork is by Emily Carroll. And our final challenge is to read a book that is a cry-worthy book, and this one I am going with Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. So that is it. Those are all of the books that I plan to read for the Emojiathon. I know it's a lot, and it's a lot to take in, but you know, you have two more readathon TBRs to sit through, so buckle up. We're going to jump right into them. The next readathon I'm going to talk about is the Bibliogames, and this one was created by Myonna over at littlewolfreads. And this is a month-long readathon as well, and it goes from June 1st to June 30th. And so this one is, everybody is separated out into 4 different teams, and it is based on the movie Sky High. And so the 4 teams are Sidekicks, heroes, villains, and anti-heroes. And I'm a part of Team Sidekick. I am very much a sidekick. Like, I have no qualms about saying that about myself. I am a sidekick. And the Sidekick hosts are AzaDreams and Slytherinreads. Both of those are their Twitter handles, and so I'm including everything down below. All of the links, you can find it down below. So this readathon has 6 total challenges that you can participate in. You can do if you want to, but you don't have to. So there are 3 main classes and then 3 of your team classes as well. So the first 3 classes that I'm going to talk about are the main classes. So we have the first class, which is homeroom, and this is to read your group or team book. And so for Sidekicks, our team book is Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. The next class is gym class, and this is to read a format that you don't typically read. And for this, I'm going with Don't Bet on Love by Victorian E. Leesky. And again, can't say it right, but this one I'm reading on audiobook, and I am so excited to read it, and I cannot wait. And the final main class is lunch, which is so important and by far the best class. And this one is to read a book that you feel is going to have a satisfying end. And this one I am going with Always and Forever Laura Jean by Jenny Han. And obviously it's the conclusion to such a satisfying and cute story. So obviously this is going to be a satisfying end. I cannot wait to read it. I'm so excited. Alright, so now we are getting into our 3 sidekick classes. So the first one is comedic relief, and this is to read a book that has a funny side character or even side characters. And this one I am going with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, and I think I could go with any of the Harry Potter books that I'm reading, but I'm going with this one just because why not? So I cannot wait to read it, and I'm so excited. It's a reread and I'm so excited about it. It's my favorite. That's another reason why I chose it, is because it's my favorite. The next class is Hero Support, and this one is to read a graphic novel. And so I am going with Speak, the graphic novel by Lori Halls Anderson with the artwork by Emily Carroll. I'm really excited about this one. The final class is Mission Statement, and this one is to read a non-fiction. And for this one I am reading The Radium Girls by Kate Moore. I am so excited to read it, and I cannot wait for it. So those are all of the books that I plan to read for the Bibliogames. I am so excited about this one. I am beyond excited. Really awesome. I love this readathon so much. So now we are getting into the Witchathon Litha. So the final readathon that I am participating in is the Witchathon Litha edition. I love the Witchathon edition. Every edition of it. I love participating. Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads is amazing. They created this readathon and it's so amazing. Every time there is a new season, there is a new edition of the readathon, as well as there's also the Samhain edition, which is the original that covers Halloween. And so I love this readathon so much. I love participating in it because it gives me an excuse to read more and connect with people about something that I genuinely don't know a lot about. So I really love this readathon, and I am so excited to connect even more with people. So this one is actually only a week long. It goes from June 14th to June 21st. But there are only 7 challenges, and for the most part, they're all going to be books that I plan to read anyway. So the first challenge is to pick a book that promises to be a feel-good read, and I am going with The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. I'm excited about it. Can't wait. The next challenge is to pick a book that has trees somehow symbolically in the story, whether it's the cover, the setting, the theme, what have you. And I am going with Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, and this one, it might have more to do with trees than themselves than just the cover, but for all intents and purposes right now, I'm just doing it based on the cover as well as the title. So the next challenge is to pick a book that has yellow on the cover, and that one I'm going with The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. It is very much a yellow cover, and I am so excited to listen to this one on audiobook. The fourth challenge is all about the light versus dark, evil versus good, and so this one is to pick a book that has those good versus evil dynamics in them. And I am going with Not Your Sidekick by C.V. Lee. This one is actually the only one that I'm reading for all 3 of the readathons, which I just realized that. But still, it's really awesome and I cannot wait to read it. Challenge number 5 is not so much a reading challenge, more of like an adventure challenge, and this is to go to a pool and take a picture or video of you reading by that pool, and that one's going to be like a really hard one for me because I don't have a pool like readily available, so I'm going to have to like get really creative with this one, so we'll see how that goes. Challenge number 6, we are back into reading challenges, and this is to read a book that takes place during the summer vacation, and I am going with Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. So this definitely does take place during summer vacation, because they're going on a road trip, so I'm really excited to read it. Oh, I cannot wait. And the final challenge for this is to read the group book, and this one is Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno, and I am so excited about this one. It's really tiny, and I know that, like I said before, this one is a favorite of so many people in the book community, so I'm really excited to get into it and read it and love it too. So I'm excited. So that is it. That is my huge June TBR, and I am so excited about it. I cannot wait to compete in the Bibliogames and take part in the Emojiathon as well as the withchathonlitha. I am so excited for all of these. I'm excited about reading these books. These are books that I have been looking forward to reading for a really long time, and just happen to be the perfect ones for these challenges. So I am really excited to read these and I cannot wait. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a long one, so if you made it past like 2 minutes, I applaud you so much. But if you are here, thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below, let me know your favorite emojis, what your favorite summer thing to do is besides reading, because obviously we love reading or else we wouldn't be here. And also let me know your favorite superhero. I'm curious. Or villain. You know, which one would you be a part of if you're a part of the Bibliogames? Which team are you repping? Let me know down below. Thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And as always, until next time, happy reading and happy readathoning. Bye guys.